Hello everyone. How are you doing today? And welcome to the Hamilton 4 Years On and Opening Act Alumni Discussion on all things Black Lives Matter, the future, and you guessed it, Hamilton. Now, I am your host, Malia B, and together we will journey through the lives of 8 Opening Act alumni to experience the spark that is Hamilton. But before we do that, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I am an Opening Act alum from Franklin K. Lane High School, currently working as a teaching artist for Opening Act while studying architecture. In addition to all this Black girl fierceness, I am a fashion designer and DIY queen. But enough about me. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, what is Opening Act? Who are these people? What do they do? Well, let me tell you. For me, Opening Act is a place where young people can join together and play games, do some theater, and overall just love and support each other. I've met amazing people through Opening Act and have had amazing friendships. I love each and every one of my friends from Opening Act. But to the world, Opening Act is an NYC-based after-school theater arts program. We serve public schools that do not have after-school art program or an arts program in their curriculum. And this is where I met everyone. We were all a part of the Opening Act Student Leadership Company in 2016. Yeah, and those long subway rides into Manhattan with a bunch of teenagers on the train is truly, truly solidified all our friendships, you know. I know everybody was probably mad, but we had good times. So without further ado, let's meet everyone. Let's meet all our panelists. So first we have Anya. And Anya's gonna come here and say hi to everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Anya. I just graduated I graduated in 2016 with Brittany here from the Clara Barton campus. Right now, over the past 4 years, I've been at the University of Rochester, getting my BA in political science, and I'm excited to work at the Office of Community Wealth Building here in Rochester in August.
Yep, and I'm Brittany. As she said, also graduated from Clara Barton's campus in 2016. I just graduated from Syracuse University with my acting BFA. So I'm an actor, and I filmed a Netflix series last year. So you can catch that, Grand Army, a Netflix original series on Netflix come 2020, next few months, hopefully. All right, so we're gonna pass the ball to, looky there, Caleb.
Oh, I caught it. Thank you for the throw, Brittany. My name's Caleb. I'm an Opening Act alumni. I graduated high school from Cobble Hill, 2016. I recently graduated from college, City University of College, Staten Island. I'm an actor, writer, director, along with other stuff. And I also starred in the Netflix series alongside Brittany that is coming out later this year, Grand Army 2020. Yeah, I'm gonna pass the ball to Christine.
All right. Hi, everyone. I am Christine. I am also a Clara Barton graduate. I graduated in 2016. I am a filmmaker, writer, rapper, activist, and honestly, so much more because I like to dabble in everything. And I'll pass the ball to Jeremiah.
Whoa, thank you, Christine. That was a very elegant throw. Felt like a gust of air in my palms. Oh, thank you. My name is Jeremiah Thompson. I graduated from Herbert H. Lehman High School in 2016. Right now I'm an actor, stand-up comedian, writer, and yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing. So with that being said, I'm going to throw the ball to Frankie.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Frankie. I graduated from the Grace Dodge campus in 2016. I just graduated from Tufts University up in Boston, and I'm majoring in economics and international relations. So I'm trying to get this money, you feel me? Be a wealth manager, something along those lines. Yeah, let me pass it on to this soldier, Deshaun.
Soldier.
Whoa, thank you very much, Frankie. I am not a soldier. I'm United States Marine, first and foremost. I graduated from Cobble Hill 2016. I'm an opening act alumni. Currently, I specialize in infantry mortar tactics. Yeah, fight your wars. I'm going to pass it back to Malia B.
All right, thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. It's been a pleasure being reunited, and it feels so good. So we're all here today because one day in 2016, as a graduation gift, Opening Act decided to give us free tickets to see Hamilton. That is right? I had such a great time with you all that night, and we're just gonna revisit some stuff that we experienced, just recap some things that we saw that night, and I'll just ask you some questions, and we're gonna have some comments, right? And feel free also to ask each other questions if a burning desire so filled your heart. So I just want to know, first and foremost, how did you feel when we found out that we were getting free tickets to Hamilton? Mind you, Hamilton tickets at the time was like $200, $250. I definitely couldn't have afforded that, so I was grateful for the freeness. So how did y'all feel when you found out it was free? There you go, Chrissy.
I really laughed. First I thought it was spam because I'm like, Hamilton, like that's sold out. And then I realized it was like legit because it had opening act's name attached to it. So I was like, oh. So then I told my mother, listen, I come from a Haitian Caribbean household. I'm not really allowed to go out at night, period. So I told her all the information. She was like, well, I guess some things got to change. And I ended up going to see Hamilton. And like curfew meant nothing because it was Hamilton, you know? So that was like how that happened.
Anyone else? Frankie.
When I first heard about it, I was really excited. I like flexed it everywhere. I was like, I'm going to Hamilton, y'all not. And I really, I was really excited because I had sort of heard about it from like some of my teachers. And like the fact that I got to see it before them, I don't know, I was really flexing it. So that's how I like initially felt about it. But yeah.
Anybody else want to share their experience?
Unlike my friends here, I knew nothing about Hamilton. It was like sort of like a on the whim thing. Like I was like, fuck yeah, excuse my language. I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to see Hamilton. And of course I told a bunch of people and all of my friends were like, well, what the hell is even that? And I went, and it was like the greatest experience of my lifetime.
Can I just say something though, Deshaun? I have a distinct memory. I hope I'm not blowing up your spot, but I have a distinct memory of you crying during one of the Skylar Sisters songs.
Hey, that performance in and of itself was heartbreaking, okay? I will never forget.
I remember you loved her vocals so much. You remember that, Chrissy? I looked over to my left, and Deshaun was just like tear-filled.
We was both crying. So I don't know why you blowing up his
As we should.
Like we both cried. It was an emotional scene. It was emotional. Like
it was. Well, but what made it so emotional for you? I know for me it was because watching the Skylar sister, the oldest one, watching Angelica love Alexander and not being able to say it or to live it or, you know, be with that person, that's what broke my heart. What about you?
You know something? I think I'm mixing up scenes because I remember crying at the part where all of them became fathers all of a sudden. That's where I remember like being emotional because I don't know if it was the singing. I don't know if it was the ambiance, and then I think it was the fact that like they were all so proud, and like it happened, and like I think one had a son, one had a daughter, so it was like it really like they were both prideful like of their children, and I was just like, yo, that's beautiful. Like it's like they don't show depictions of like people of color like loving their kids enough. It's always like as though we all come from rough like parenting homes, and that's not always the case. Like we love our children just as much as anyone else, you know. So that's why I was so emotional when I saw that scene.
I think it was the Dear Theodosia song. I think that was the scene. The Dear Theodosia. Yeah. Aaron Burr sang that with Dear Theodosia, I write you a letter every day.
That was fire.
That was the song.
That was fire. Yeah.
You have something, Frankie, or you want me to jump into this next question?
Yeah, actually I do. I was gonna say like I think it was like Aaron Burr. I feel like his like whole like story. I don't know. It also like made me sort of emotional because like he was like he really desired something, but it was like he never could get it as much as he would work. Like he wasn't like obtaining it, and it felt like I could see like his plight was like, if I remember right, that Hamilton has something like more pure about him that like was like getting him closer to his goals. And I don't remember what song it was, but it's like this song about that Aaron Burr like this song where he's talking about sort of like how hard his parents worked or something like that. I don't know. I just think
you wait for it.
Yeah. That song. Oh my God. I would be in the gym. I would be in the gym playing that song. Like fire. But yeah.
That song does touch me too differently. Honestly. That's one of my motivating songs to listen to because
definitely.
Because it's interesting to me, Aaron Burr being a Black man playing this character, right? That you could actually connect somewhat as to like how a Black man feels in real life, right?
Yeah, I agree. And like, I mean, I believe the character is like historically are white, but like seeing a Black person play that character, seeing like that struggle, it really connected to me.
Yes.
That really like, I don't know, I really enjoyed that. So.
Okay, so my next question would be, what was it like seeing such I'm sorry, was that Brittany? Oh.
No, it was me. I was just gonna say, like, I really resonated with one of the songs too. My Shot was, so when I heard that we were gonna go see Hamilton, like I had heard about it from some of my like more affluent theater friends, but it was kind of just another musical that I knew I wasn't gonna be able to see because it's like $1,500 for a ticket. And then, so I never really dug into it, and Marcus actually showed me My Shot, and that was the only song that I listened to because I knew we were gonna see it live, so I didn't want to spoil it for myself. But like that was the year where we were like applying for colleges and just trying to figure out what was going on after high school, and like being young actors of color and students of color, it kind of did feel like this is my shot, like this is my time, like if I don't grasp the opportunity right now, like what's gonna happen to me. So I feel like the whole like plight of Alexander Hamilton, like coming up from nothing and being this incredible person and super influential person, like really affected me too in that specific time.
Yeah, sorry, Malia. Jeremiah. I just want to piggyback off of what Anya said. For me personally, when I first saw it, I always really resonated with Alexander Hamilton more than anybody else because seeing him come from the bottom, like being from the Caribbean and clawing his way up, literally clawing his way up, working extremely hard, and to see the mistakes that he made in the play in real life, and to see him fall down, only to see him try and claw his way back up again. I resonated with that personally because it's like going to school, not knowing what you're going to do, and trying to prove yourself to literally nobody, to try and tell the world that you are somebody and that you are worth it. So that's what I resonate most with.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you all so much. My next question is, what was it like seeing such a diverse cast on Broadway? And I know for some of us, it was the first time, or the majority of us, it was the first time. So what was it like your first Broadway show being so diverse, all these beautiful Black and brown people dancing and singing and showing their talent? How did you feel? Caleb.
I think so that was, for me personally, I think that was the main thing that made me want to watch Hamilton. I mean, because to be honest, I didn't really care for the story per se. I don't want to be that person, but I didn't really care for Hamilton. I only cared because of the casting, particularly. And when I saw it on stage, it really was just a powerful thing to just see different beautiful Black and brown faces on stage and know that this is something that we should be able to do. It shouldn't take us to revamp what history is just to get us on stage. And I just thought it was a very powerful, significant moment for us, which is why I was so thrilled to see it.
Yeah, yeah. Was that Anya that wanted to go before?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, like, with every theater experience that I have, especially on Broadway, it's always like kind of disarming to leave like these multiracial New York City streets and enter an almost entirely white theater and watch almost entirely white cast perform. And walking into that theater, it was very much the same, of a lot of wealthy white people. And then everyone was so excited and they sat in their seats and they're watching actors of color who literally like can't find a place anywhere else. Like, this is their stage, because and they're on the stage because no other shows will accept them, but people want to see them and people are paying the money to see them and people are enriching their lives and widening their perspectives by being able to see them here on stage. So that was just like super powerful for the world we live in the racial context of that we live in, to just see that.
I know for me, one of the main things that stuck out within like the first 5 minutes of you know, watching them on stage was that I saw two girls with like kinky hair, like afros. And it wasn't just like I mean, they weren't main characters. They were definitely one of the ensemble characters, but I remember seeing them and being like, oh, okay, that's my hair. And it's on this stage and it's being celebrated and it's being held up. It's not necessarily like this big statement or this character that's like, oh, I don't care about, or I'm not gonna, you know, subject myself to European standard. Like, it wasn't anything like that. They just were being. That was them. I'm pretty sure that's how the actors wear their hair, and that's how these characters were, you know, sporting their what they've got. And that was a huge thing for me. That was the first thing that stood out to me. And then also like the diverse cast in and of itself, that was one thing, and that was really powerful for me, and I was really in awe of it. But also just hearing the familiar hip hop beats, hearing the familiar like jazz tones, all of that, I was like, that hits home for me. That's what I grew up listening to, and it's on such this elevated platform, with it being in this Broadway theater and seeing like a predominantly white audience, you know, a bunch of wealthy people like soaking that in, and I'm sure they enjoyed it too, but like it resonated so much more deeply for me, and I'm sure for all of us. I don't want to speak to all of our experiences, but I feel like that is something that we all definitely felt.
It's crazy that you mentioned hair and like the fact that they have hair like us. I was thinking like, wow, and they did it properly. Because a lot of times when you see people with hair like mine or skin like mine, you know, they be looking a mess. Like, even in like our mainstream movies today, we still have to like call out these productions for like not properly showcasing Black hair. And it's so like to see it not only done properly, but on such a grand scale, and like nobody looked ridiculous. Like, everybody looked like, you know, me, you know, and not like a caricature, or, you know, oh, you know what, it's cool, but, you know, I would have done this differently type thing. It was like, it was all spot on as far as like representation was concerned.
Yeah. Frankie.
There's like a certain validation I feel like that comes with seeing like Black and brown people play like people from like the 18th century. Like, that's really weird. Those two things don't really like combine. And the fact, like Brittany kind of touched on it, the fact that there were like there was like these jazz elements, these hip hop elements, that was like so cool to me. Like, I just feel like I feel like the play put something out there, put this like intersection of ideas that accomplished so much and made a lot of people sort of like think about how Black and brown people can be presented. I think it was really cool. And that combination was amazing. I didn't even think about it. I had to really intake the play to understand, like, this is the 18th century and it's like people like with like with hip hop beats and stuff and
Yeah.
crazy ass choreography. Very powerful. I think it was beautiful.
It was an amazing way to reach young people. I feel like that entire play was if you want to reach young people and make them understand history and make them lean in and want to learn history, is to do it the way Hamilton did it. I remember that, I believe it was in the Aaron Burr song when they started beatboxing with the mouth and hitting on the desk. And I was like, I feel like I'm in the lunchroom. This is lit. This is it. And everybody just beat beatboxing and then somebody else rapping over it. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh, he going in. That, okay. Now I want to listen and see what he has to say because I already know what this is leading to. This is leading to a vibe. Yes, baby.
No, I never thought that I would sit there and like bop to a Broadway musical the way that I did when I was watching Hamilton. Like it was a full body experience for me. I mean, Anya and I had standing room seats, so we were kind of like this the whole time trying to see it. But even leaning like this, I was just like, yes, go.
I loved it. I loved everything about it. To this day, I still be trying to pull them Angelica notes, and I know in my heart that I should not be doing it, but sometimes God listens and, you know, he answered prayers. So one day, y'all, one day. What else did we love about Hamilton? You know, before we saw Hamilton, I'm sure that we all had this idea in our head that Broadway was predominantly white, right? A lot of Broadway plays that were coming out, you know, they were just a lot of, you know, everybody was out there not seeing proper representation. So how did that affect you, you know, being a young actor? How did having this thought in your head that, you know, they only hire white people to do these shows, how did that impact you and how you moved on into your career before you saw Hamilton?
I think for me, my biggest takeaway was trying to get this type of production for students, because I feel like all these wonderful shows, like they're not being shown to people that actually need to see them. Because again, it's always the wealthy people coming in on Broadway and having the luxury of watching, you know, these people on stage. Where like that was one of my biggest takeaways. Is like, how do we get this type of production for students to see, and more of that. That was one of my biggest takeaways.
Anybody else?
For me, as a writer, it sparked a fire in me because I saw it with my eyes now. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what I'm gonna do now. This is how you do it. This is the perfect example of what happens when you finally give people of color a chance to like put their work out there on a massive platform.
You're there a little bit, girl.
You're losing me? Hello? You guys can hear me?
Yeah.
You're good.
I hear you.
There.
Oh, okay. All right. I was saying that it just as a writer, it lit a fire in me. And so it just made me write stories even more. And so that's why after seeing it, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm just going to do it, because it's not even just about getting it into like wealthy spaces. It's to getting it into spaces that are made for me, you know, made for my community. So that's what watching Hamilton did for me. It just lit a fire in me as a content creator and as a writer. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I feel like I like totally agree with you, Christine. And like I feel like, I don't know, like seeing like so much white theater, it made me feel like I had to like assimilate a lot. And I don't know, when like what Hamilton did for me is like, I guess it like showed me a way in which you can assimilate, not assimilate, my fault, like in which you can create your own space where you can be Black, where you don't have to like succumb to something else, you know, because white culture is so like dominant in like theater. It's sometimes it's hard to like enter and make what you're creating like the important thing, or like what should be valued, if that makes sense.
To tag on to what Frankie said, like
I want to.
Britt, you want to go?
Go ahead, Deshaun.
Like what you said just now resonated so much with me about like making your own space. Like I know that I don't dabble in the arts as much as I used to because of my current occupation. However, like making my own space, mine, like being in the Marine Corps, being active through the military in general, I'm like surrounded by people of all different races, all different cultures. And it's all about like they want you to look the same, want you to breathe the same, act the same, move the same. But it to me, like personally, is having independence and being who you are and being solid in who you are. And Hamilton, like it resonates so much with me because of that simple fact that looking at all these different actors and actresses of color, not just like white America that I'm used to watching on screen performing and actually being celebrated and happy in what they are and who they are, like it was awesome to me.
I love it. I love it. Anybody else? Brittany, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off what Deshaun and Frankie was saying, like when I saw, before seeing Hamilton, in my head, if I was going to be a successful actress and a successful Black actress, I had to do it the same way that these other white actresses were doing it. I had to hold myself in the same way. I had to perform, my pattern of speech had to be the same way. But seeing Hamilton and like seeing Anthony Ramos, like he's clearly from Brooklyn. The way he sounds, the way he talks, his cadence, all of that is very much like Brooklyn, you know, Caribbean, Puerto Rican, all of that. And seeing that kind of representation and seeing that authenticity on stage kind of gave me permission, I guess, to maybe walk into audition spaces and just speak like Brittany and not feel like I had to speak a certain way, speak with elevated speech just to be accepted and just to be deemed worthy of occupying, you know, a Broadway stage or occupying a college theater or a spot in a college program.
Yeah, and to piggyback to what Brittany just said, like I can tell you for me, I feel like looking back and reflecting now, it kind of reassured me that this was the right thing for me to see because you deserve to be in this space or in this production of Romeo and Juliet or in that production where you don't have to try and be anyone else but Jeremiah. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that we all found some part of our identity through Hamilton. I definitely just learned how to one of my takeaways was just, girls, just sing how loud you want to sing and don't listen to nobody else. Okay, just you want to go out in the backyard and sing? Go out in the backyard and sing. Let's do it. My next question is, I know there was a song, Alexander, I forgot which one it was, but he said, this is not a moment, it's a movement, right? This is not a moment, it's a movement. How can we use that how can that be applied to current events? How can that be applied to the life that we're living here today? Anybody can go first.
I'm going to start that off. So in the military, we signed something called a page 11. It basically prevents us, well, not prevents us, but it prohibits the amount that we can speak out against like social things and social activities. Like I can't protest with you guys. I can't do certain things because it's a bad look on who I'm serving currently. However, just recently, I made a comment on Facebook and I made a post and just to show like Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. And because first and foremost, yes, I'm a Marine. But before anything, I'm Black. Like, there's no way around it. I'm a Black young American, like, serving. That's it. Mm-hmm. Like, it does not matter. And so that one phrase in and of itself, it's not a moment. It's a movement. Black Lives Matter matters. Like, Black everything matters. Black culture, Black songs, Black art, all of it matters. And
Black women.
Black women matter. Trust me, they matter. Hey, they matter. Heard? They matter.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Brittany.
Okay. I was talking to Anya about this earlier because we actually watched Hamilton before we came on here, and it's crazy to think about the fact that Lin-Manuel, he, you know, had this idea of Hamilton, and he talks about immigration, and he talks about slavery and who really, you know, who's really building, you know, this country. That was something that he created in his mind, like maybe years before Hamilton, you know, went to Broadway and it became the big thing that it is. And I think that just goes to show how much like some of the stuff that goes on today, you know, with the Black Lives Matter movement, with, you know, young, you know, Latinx kids being put in cages, the whole border wall situation, like that wasn't, like Trump wasn't talking about that back in, I don't know, what, 2005, when Lin-Manuel was, you know, creating and formulating his ideas for Hamilton.
Yeah.
But then, you know, Hamilton became huge in 2016. And that's also the time when Trump was saying all of that stuff about the border wall and all of this racist stuff. And I think that just goes to show that it's that like these things, these movements, the Black Lives Matter movement, the no border wall movement, all of that, it's not just a moment, because these things keep happening. They keep happening, and we keep, this is stuff that we continue to talk about. I'm pretty sure Lin-Manuel wasn't thinking about like, oh, like the border wall, you know, before. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too, because I feel like I feel
ahead,
like, you know,
I'm sorry.
You're good. I was just gonna say that, you know, a lot, I think it's good that it's coming out again in 2020. Like, I didn't realize that they're actually using a recording from 2016, and they're releasing it now 4 years later. And I think this is a perfect time too, because we have to realize that the moment that we're in right now, with all the things that are going on in the world, it's so much more than this moment. Like, don't just take it as a fiction musical line. Like, it's so much more than what's happening today or this week or this month. And for us to, you know, really have change and influence over the world we live in, we need a consistent effort. We need an Alexander Hamilton who's going to write and not stop and miss days with their families and things like that to get the work done. And for me, being a young kid, at that time I was thinking about directing or going into politics or policy or law, and just thinking about the potential for change that we all have, from an artistic, creative point of view to a political point of view, to an educational point of view, to a medicinal point of view, that we all have something in us that we can do to really affect change and fight the inequality in our world. So that was great for me to just know that whatever your interests are, whatever your passions are, what you want to do with your life, you can still use that to affect change, just like Lin-Manuel did with Hamilton.
Yes. I was just gonna say that it kind of makes you realize that our lives aren't trends. In a way, our culture isn't a trend, because a lot of times whenever we do something that's inspiring or like fresh and cool, not to say that it isn't, but it's like, at the same time, this is discussions that we have within our communities all the time. It's just new to you. This is a movement that's been going on since before I was even born, you know, since before my parents were even born. These are stories that are real. It's just, for so long, our history has been erased. Our opportunities have been, you know, sabotaged. And this isn't a trend. It's a movement. And like, sometimes it does take one shot for us to get our message to be heard. And it shouldn't be that way. So that's what kind of like makes me think like what Hamilton meant. So that's why it's so important to like recognize what Hamilton meant to so many people, because it's like, wow, this is their shot. Like, I can do this too, type thing, you know?
Anybody else?
I think it just I was just gonna say
Go ahead, Caleb.
yeah, I was just gonna say that yeah, a lot of people do take I'm losing my train of thought, excuse me. But I think that it's not a moment, it's a movement. It's just to show people that in terms of what's actually going on in today's current society, like when they're just like painting the streets saying Black Lives Matter and you know, changing names, like it's more than that. It's more than just saying it, you know. It's about actually doing things to create change for not just tomorrow, but for the rest of, you know, the world, for generations to come. And I think it's important for people to realize that. So, yeah.
Yes, amazing, y'all. I had, I personally feel like Hamilton should not just be on Disney Plus, low key. We should pop that bad boy on Hulu, pop it on Netflix, right? Just so we can reach other, we can reach other youth that, because I'm pretty sure not everybody has Disney Plus. Everybody can afford to have Disney Plus, but everybody have Netflix and Hulu, or one or the other. So if we could just, slide that bad boy over there, that would reach the mass, I'd be grateful. I'd be very grateful. My next question is, well, after the show, we all did go backstage. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that moment? We got to wait, left out the theater, and we were sitting in the seats, and we was just like, oh, y'all leaving? We not leaving. We get to go backstage, bad boy. We get to go backstage. How did that feel for you guys? Because I stood on that big stage that all of these amazing people had just performed on. And I was looking into the audience seats, and I was just like, one day they're going to hear me. One day they're going to see me. just remember just thinking that, right? How did you all feel? I'm curious about other people's experience there.
I remember like me thinking like, wow, this stage ain't as big as I thought it was. And then it had this, like, you remember in the middle they had that turning thing and it was turning. I'm like, whoa, they was turning in this thing. That's crazy, man. Yeah, so like it was like a very interesting thing. And oh yeah, I remember Wiz Khalifa was there. And boy, that man was fried. Like,
Remember that? I remember
yeah,
that.
it was hilarious. But yeah, it was like
like all of us was trying to go to the bathroom just to see if we could see Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
Oh, he said he was fried. Oh my god.
Yo.
I remember.
Yeah.
I think same. I agree with what Deshaun said. The stage actually seemed smaller once we were actually up there, but it was a very powerful feeling to be on that stage. But I think what resonated with the whole backstage and on stage, Marcus wants to point that out because we were on the stage, not only just backstage, we stood on the stage. But the what was that saying? Oh, yes. What was like the most powerful part of that whole experience was the fact that we actually got to talk to the actors. And I remember like talking to David, and he was saying, he went to Brown University and he was just giving us advice. And he's like, what? Milk the institution for all that it has before you go, because once you graduate school, you're not going to have all of those resources available to you. And like having Jasmine talk to us about her experience and just how they got to where they are, that was incredibly powerful, because not only did we get to see them perform, and that was amazing, but to actually be on that stage and be talking to them and relating with them, that just made the whole experience just that much more accessible, and it just resonated on a deeper level.
We met Lin-Manuel too, right? And that was amazing. I'm gonna go on the record and say that man has the softest hands that I felt to this day. Honestly, one of the most memorable moments of my life, just because like he is a theater Alexander Hamilton, like he came from nothing and he made it for himself. Like there's no other musical like Hamilton. That's it. So it was just so cool to just be able to meet him and see that story in real life and in the flesh.
Piggybacking off of Brittany, with the advice that David gave us, he also said that remember he was telling us the story of how he was about to give up on the acting thing. He's about to give up. He's like, I was ready to shut it all down and just go home and just not do it again. And then he was like, I got that call. I got one call. And I was like, all right, a musical, I guess. And he did it. And look at where he at today. A true testament of like, just don't give up, keep going. If you feel like this is the end, like you have nowhere else to go, you have somewhere else to go. Like that phone is gonna ring and you're gonna pick it up and you're gonna be on a Broadway stage, right? Frankie, I see you had your hand up.
Yeah, I feel like stories like that are so like, I love them. They're so addictive to me. Like I love listening to stories like that. I don't know, just like being at that age and like you know, us finishing high school, figuring out what we're gonna do afterwards. The fact that like that moment just imbued us with so much belief. And I feel like belief, as you get older, from what I see, it becomes like more expensive or harder to attain. And, you know, seeing his story and seeing how like he had felt like he had lost, he was kind of like going down, and out of nowhere he gets this opportunity. I just think like faith is so beautiful. And once you like give it to people or figure out a way to like express it to people, it really does change people's lives. And being on that stage, like looking out, acting like I was like the star of some play, like having Wiz Khalifa next to me, even though he looked fried, like all of that, very like, I loved it. And I don't know, it's just like, I love opening act for that. Like I will always love opening act for that.
Anybody else?
One thing I'm gonna kind of plug opening act here, but just because I know I didn't, like most of us, I didn't grow up in like a family who, you know, went to the theater and saw theater like that. My mom was just like, oh, you're gonna go see a show? Okay, I guess, you know. But I hadn't actually, I think the majority of the theater that I saw as a high school student actually featured Black artists, because the majority of the theater that I saw was, you know, opportunities that were provided by opening acts. And I mean, I don't know if it was a conscious decision or not, but I remember, I think it was The Box by Marcus Garley that we saw, and that was predominantly people of color, men of color. And like majority of the shows were by people of color. There was something that we saw at the Public.
With Felicia Rashad, right? I forgot the
Felicia Rashad.
Had a passage.
There was another one. There was another one with Denied. What was it?
The African genocide.
Yes, that
Head
one.
Of Passes. Head of Passes.
Yes, Eclipse.
The House That Will Not Stand. That was with other summer. That was a summer story. But I don't know. I just have to put it out there that I'm like super grateful for the fact that the majority of the shows that I did see as a high school student, you know, was through opening act, and they pretty much all of them featured actors of color. Yeah. Except for I think that was Blackbird. That was the only show that I saw that was.
We also saw Motown.
Like that. We did see Motown. That was a good one. I did enjoy it. Oh, and Once on This Island. Once on This Island is still my favorite musical to this day. Chrissy, you got anything else? No? Okay. But besides Hamilton, Eclipse was really the play that stuck with me for years to this day. Eclipse, and I believe they only took young women to see Eclipse. Am I right?
No, I saw Eclipse.
But did you see with us? Because I remember.
I don't think I saw it. I don't know if I saw it. Yeah, nah. I remember the first round was just
the second
women.
round, it was they mixed it up for everybody.
Right. But we met Lupita that night. We was having so much fun. Okay. So y'all, I have a surprise. I have a really, really, really big surprise. I want you all to please welcome Anthony Ramos.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey.
How y'all doing?
We're good. How are you, Anthony?
I'm cool. I'm chilling. You know, I'm in my crib. I know I'm a little early, but y'all was in it too. I was just listening. I was like, yo, they getting it in up in here. I was like, hold up. Like, let me put my joint on mute. I was like, let me learn.
Did you learn anything though? What did you learn?
No, I came in here too late. I left the room, then came back in, then left, and I was like, hold on. So I did not learn anything.
You did not learn anything?
So I'm sorry.
No, but, it's okay.
What were y'all talking about? It sounded like a compelling conversation.
We were just honestly talking about our experience seeing Hamilton and what it meant to us, the things that stood out for us, what bonded us, the things that we loved about it, all that good stuff. It was just, you know, preaching it. Since you're here, Anthony, you know, maybe you could slide this over, but could you tell them to swing it to Hulu and Netflix too, just so everybody else could watch it and not just on Disney? Just whisper it a little bit. Just whisper.
Imagine. Nah, they paid a whole lot. Disney paid a whole lot of money to have that to themselves.
Oh, okay, all right. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Does anybody
so-
have any questions for our special guest? Or Anthony, did you have anything you'd like to ask us?
I mean, I'll leave it open to y'all. But if no one has questions, you know, I think we can kind of go back and forth. If there's any thoughts you have. But I kind of want to hear from you too. Like, if no one has questions, I would be interested to hear what you about your experience. And like, somebody brought up Eclipsed, you know, and
we did
and
see
Passion Strange.
Yes. Head of Passes. We were talking about
Sorry, Head of Passes. Sorry.
We were talking about a bunch of Black theater that we saw through Opening Act for free. So we saw Eclipsed, Once on This Island, Head of Passes, Buzzer. What else? Another one? I think I'm missing one.
Motown.
Yeah.
There was another Marcus Garley play. I don't remember what it was called, but it was about damn. It was I can't remember. It was a Marcus Garley play.
There was also one.
It wasn't the box, Susie. It was a different one.
On Malcolm X that we saw. It was a
Malcolm X,
play that we also
but there was
saw.
another Marcus Garley play we saw. It was about slavery. I forgot the name. Susie, you should know it.
I saw Brittany had her hand up. Brittany, you have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna say that we were talking about how like we were actually able to the majority of theater that I saw in high school was through Opening Act, and whether it was a conscious decision on Opening Act's part or not, like they all pretty much featured artists of color. And I was just wondering, like, what did you see a lot of theater when you were in high school? Like, what did you see when you did go to the theater, if any? And then how did that shape how you saw yourself in the world of theater and in the entertainment industry as a whole, I guess?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't see a lot of theater in high school. I mean, I did. The theater I saw, actually, that's a lie. I saw Shakespeare because I was in a Shakespeare class in my senior year. I didn't see very many shows though with people of color, unfortunately, but I did see, I can't remember, I don't know if it's Merchant of Venice, but which is the Shakespeare play with Portia? Portia is one of the main characters. I can't remember which one it is, but it was an all-male cast, and there was this guy playing the role of Portia, and he was a black man playing the role of Portia, and I thought that was fun. I mean, he killed it, he crushed it. It was so dope to see this guy just kind of like let go in that role.
Merchant?
I think it's Merchant of Venice. I think that's the play. And he crushed. I think it was the Royal Shakespeare Company. They came to BAM. So I saw these plays at BAM, and but most of them were not diverse casts. Most of them were all white, and but I was just inspired by largely by like Shakespeare's work. But it started. I think I was really encouraged when I started to see. When you watch movies like Romeo and Juliet, you see John Leguizamo in them, right? Like something like that. Like, and you see, obviously, I guess I didn't see a lot of theater growing up, which I wish I did, but it was expensive. It was just mad expensive. I think the first show that I saw, one of the first shows was there was a show Alicia Keys had produced way back. I think it was called Stick Fly, or I can't remember, but it was with.
Yeah, it was the marriage couple. They were married.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stick Fly. I did a scene.
So good.
Yeah.
I love that play, yo. That play was fire. And then I saw like In the Heights, and I started to see those in college. So unfortunately I didn't go to a lot of theater in high school, but I was just inspired by like teachers and like doing theater, the craft in and of itself, like actually just getting on stage and getting into it, and then I started really seeing shows in college because I was like, yo, I gotta learn. So I was seeing anything, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But unfortunately I didn't see a lot of shows with representation until I mean, until I was an adult, for real, like until I was like 24 or some shit, 25, 26. Like, you know, I'm 28 now, but there weren't a lot of characters that I felt like I could relate to as far as like that spoke in my vernacular. You know what I'm saying? Like that look like me or look like people I hang out with on a daily, right? So that was hard for me. That was difficult for me. So I had to like kind of, I almost didn't even want to keep going because I was like, yo, like how you know, how the fuck how am I gonna get a job up in here? Everybody's white on stage. Where, you know, and then if it wasn't a white show, it was an all black show, or it'd be like a show like Memphis. So then I was like, yo, I'm like stuck in the middle somewhere. Like, I'm like,
where am I gonna
you
go?
know, so I really didn't know where I fit in. And it wasn't until I saw like In Heights where I was like, oh shit, maybe there's a spot for me. And then, you know, and then things started to kind of open up. And then you see a show like Hamilton came around and it was great. Like, you know, I'm about to put a post up today that it was basically like, you know, I'll read y'all what I wrote, but this is exactly how I felt. And it's shit like this that gives me hope, right? Like at least this is what I felt when I got this part and when I was able to do this show. And I basically said, you know, this show embraced and celebrated colorful, accepting, loving, hardworking, and the most gracious group of humans. Hopefully, with each person that watches, is another heart that does the same. Thank you, Hamilton, for giving us a microcosm of what the world could both look and be like. All people coming together to create change in the world and make history. And, you know, I just had a conversation. I just did this. There's I think it's Council of Urban Professionals, right? And they call themselves CUP, and they work on equality in the workplace, just in general. And I thought it was like, I think I'm kind of veering off of your question, mm-hmm. but just kind of piggybacking off of what y'all were talking about before, from what I gathered, it's like, you know, it was inspiring to like, not only, you know, because culture, I think, surpasses even color, right? There's some Latinos that don't speak like me, mm-hmm. right? They're like, and people, you know, it's funny, people will say like, you know, you cannot say somebody sounds black or someone sounds white. You cannot say that, mm-hmm. because a black person from one community could sound different from a black person from another community. They grew up in two different communities. Somebody from New York is going to sound different from somebody from Florida, Virginia. Like, it's two different things. You can't tell somebody you sound like a color or you sound like a race, because that's wrong, right? And I think sometimes we use that excuse to not make art that bridges the gap between people, because we're like, oh, I just don't get it. Well, it's because you're not trying. Mm-hmm. You're not trying to understand. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even trying to listen. Mm-hmm. You don't even want to take the time, because yes, it takes work to listen to someone. It takes work to get to know, right? Like, you know, I'm Puerto Rican, but I didn't grow up in Puerto Rico, so Puerto Ricans on the island looking at me like, oh, are you really Boricua? What you mean? You ain't Puerto Rican, you from New York.
Exactly.
So I gotta prove my Puerto Ricanness to you, and vice versa. You know, and I think that is I'm just encouraged when artists take the opportunity and the chances where they don't allow those barriers that we've put on ourselves, right? Especially as people of color, like light skin, dark skin, you this, you that, like these barriers on each other within our own communities, which ultimately stop us from making art that is not only inclusive but breaks barriers.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So no, I didn't see a lot of shows in high school, but I did start going to shows in college, and I gave you that's such a long answer. I don't even know if I answered your question specifically.
You did.
But
You answered it and more. You answered it and more, and we appreciate it.
But you know,
my
yeah.
last question for you would be,
I'm chilling. I'm here. I mean, I don't know how long y'all got, but I'm chilling.
we chilling too, man. I just want to know how important do you think it is that Hamilton is being featured to Disney today than if it would have been, and then if it did 2 years ago?
I mean, right, you never know what's gonna happen in the world, right? But I think it's a combination of things, right? There's been social injustice for so many years. Like, this is not new. You know, and I think there's many people, including myself, in ways, right? Like, where we're being enlightened to certain things and the specificity of certain injustices. Not just that there's injustice, but the specificity of it. Like, these laws were passed and that's how this is legal. This happened this way. That's not, you know, that is a crime. That's actually not, you know, the specificities of chokeholds and all types of things, right? Like, but I think, you know, why I think it's so poignant for something like Hamilton to come out now on Disney is Disney's a massive platform, one, right? And two, you know, Disney's like one of those things where anybody's going to Disney World, right? There's not like a certain demographic or a certain group of people. Like, everybody loves them at Disney World, or for the most part, a lot of people do, right? So there's this platform where there's almost this, like, once. You know what I'm saying? Like, where people, you know, where anybody will almost anyone will get that app, right? They're like, you know, or whatever, and then you put the climate of the world, right, politically, on top of the climate of the world where we're at scientifically. We're in a global pandemic. You know, people cannot leave their houses or their apartments or wherever you're at. All right. And if, you know, there's a virus out, there's something that is keeping us from living our lives normally, which is causing us to stop. Right. And in turn, pay attention more to what's in front of us. Right. I don't know about y'all, but I know for me in my own life, work, there are certain things, sports, concerts, other shit that I would do to get my mind off of. Like, work helps me with the daily demands and the stresses I experience in life. And it's very easy to have a moment where you can escape and forget about the things that actually matter in life. And yo, like, I think with the combination of us being on lockdown and having a quarantine, and then on top of that, a dude gets choked, a dude has a knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. You can't ignore that shit. You can't ignore it. So now you have a show, right? Now you have civil unrest, you have social unrest in the street, people protesting, laws are being changed, right? And then on top of that, you have a show that's coming out on, you know, via one of the biggest platforms, streaming platforms out, right? And with a cast that is, there's every color represented in this cast. Talking about the conception of a country that has disenfranchised most of those people in that cast and their families and their ancestors. However, these characters, by characters who've done this too, but told in the lens and through the eyes of us, and us being the vessels. And it's almost like, you know, I mean, it's like that post I put, it's almost like, I hope that when people watch this, and because I know a lot of people will see this, right? Especially because many people are home and they're looking for something to watch. So here's another thing for you to watch. And hopefully, you know, and you watch this show with mad actors and, like, you know, with all these actors on stage, all different colors, singing about revolution, singing about change, singing about how they're going to do that, how they ain't gonna throw away their shot, right?
Yeah.
I I hope when people watch this, they, I hope they get a glimpse. So I think what makes it so poignant and powerful is about it coming on now is that hope, like, it's crazy to see that. It's almost like, and what's wild is that there is no other summer movie. We're not really hearing about another summer film. You're not hearing, there's no Avengers, there's no none of that shit right now. This is probably going to be it for the summer.
Yeah.
This might be the summer, blockbuster or whatever, but I'm just grateful that kids, people around the world, people in homes that may have never been able to see a group of people like this come together in a piece of art like this, be on their TV. And kids can kids can be able to see that and look to these characters. Like, I want to be like David Diggs. Yeah. I want to be like Leslie Odom Jr. I want to be like Lin-Manuel. I want to be like Renee Goldsberry. I want to be like Jasmine Jones and Pippa Sue, right? Instead of the Disney princesses that we used to seeing. Mm-hmm. Or the Disney princes we're used to, right?
It has nothing to do with real life, but yeah.
But I think, I think it's important now, especially now, for this thing to come out when it is, because people are sitting at home and people want something to inspire them. So hopefully, I hope, right? You never know. I can't sit here and be like, yo, this is gonna inspire the world, but I hope it does.
I hope it does. I hope it does too. Is anybody, any other panelists have a question? Or Anthony, if you have a question for us, being as we all saw Hamilton together as our graduation gift, we're open to answering those as well.
Yeah. Is everybody around the same age in this group? How old are you guys?
We're all ranging between 21, 22.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not much older than you, but but I think y'all are like the artists. Like, I would be interested. Like, what do you want to see? What do you want to see? What do you want to see Hollywood and theater look like? And what do you want us, like, who are like in the game kind of already, what do you want from us? What do you need from us? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you need us? What do you need from us to help you or you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's
a great question.
As simple as it is. What do you need from us?
That's a great question. And Chris got the answer.
I want to answer this.
Go ahead, girl.
Oh my goodness, what do I want to see? I want to see rom-coms that are actually like have everything to do. Like, I want to make a New York love story so bad. I'm like currently working on it. Like, I want to see like superhero movies. I want to see more. I want to see I want to see the non-whitewash version of voodoo and hoodoo, because I'm learning so much more about Black spirituality and like African spirituality, and it's so disappointing what Hollywood did to that culture and how they demonized it. So I'm gonna need somebody in Hollywood to like fix that up and to stop making it seem like other religions outside. We're not gonna get into that, but
you can get into it. I don't know about y'all.
We got time today, girl.
Yeah, listen, because it's like outside of Christianity, Hollywood makes it seem like any other religion is like, that's scary. Ooh, that's not American. And I'm like, well, if I'm American, if I was born here, just because that doesn't make any sense. Like, America is so diverse. It's so many different type of people in here. And it's like, there's not just one way to live. So I want to see our lives like on the screen. Like, I want to talk about our grandmothers and how like how they would, be like raising us and stuff like that. I just want to see so much more stories of us just being us, like in our element, instead of like people taking ideas from us and like twisting it in their own to like whitewash it. It's like, why whitewash something that's already like there? It's like, here, I made it. Like, it's done. Why do you need to fiddle with something that was already, had the vision is there. The work is done. The concept is done. So that's what I want to see. I want to like see more fight for like our stories to stop being played with after we gave it to them exactly how it was intended to be made. So
yeah, I personally would love to see more movies about Caribbean culture, like, and not just
Yes,
just
sir.
Jamaican, not just Jamaican, you know, like very terrible Jamaican accents on screen, you know, that, but actual Caribbean culture. There's so many other Caribbean countries that a lot of people don't even know exist on the map, right? I'd be like, oh, I'm Guyanese. You mean Ghana? You from Ghana? No. This is a whole different country from South America. Like, let's not do this, you know? I just want to see more movies about that, their culture, their history, you know, their community, the way that they love people and the way they love each and every one. We're very straightforward. We'll tell you like it is, but at the end of the day, we're always going to show you love. So I just want to see more of stuff like that, and I'm done with the stereotypes. I'm over the stereotypes. Just let's get creative now. Yeah, Brittany.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say something. My bad. I just wanted to say, like, I want to see more. Personally, I'm writing stories where, like, romance or like outworldly stories where the dude may not know what to say to the girl who he's attracted to, like the black person, like the black man who isn't tough, who is vulnerable, who is a smart man. They're like the genius that doesn't know how to talk to people, who's socially awkward, who like things outside of the normal black man stereotype that I always see.
If I may, like,
of course,
totally, like, I want to see more of actual black culture. Like, so much of the stuff that I watch, like, on TV and in movies is so, like, evolved around, like, drugs and violence. That's not all we are as a people. That's not who we are as people, in period. Like, of course, in every culture, you have people who are rowdy, who love to gangbang and all that good shit. But there are some of us who actually, like, love the arts, who go to school, who have a great job, who are typical middle-class African-American families. But in so much in Hollywood shows, all they want to show is, like, the ghetto, like, where we are when we are at our lowest, like black-on-black violence, taking away from what is actually the problem in America and more of making us these monsters, these creatures, which we are not. Like,
right. Yeah. You
Brittany.
know, one thing, sorry, Brittany, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry. I was trying to say go ahead, but just to address your second part of the question in terms of what do we need, like, from you, and people who are in your position, I guess, like, just continue to hold the door open for us. You know, like, y'all are kind of got your foot in the door. You have some sort of power. I feel like the best way for us to be able to see the stories that we want to see and see, like, people like us written and portrayed in the way that, you know, we actually see ourselves, and not, you know, the white lens and the heteronormative lens, and, you know, all of those other identities. Is just, I lost my train of thought. Hold on, we're gonna reel it back.
Take your time.
Yeah, just continue to hold the door open for us. And you guys slowly but surely are getting more and more seats at the table. So while you're at the table, you know, just be like, I got this person right here. Let me just bring them in. They got this story, and let me just shine a light on it. And just and I see so much of that already in like people like you and like Issa Rae and so many other folks. So just keep doing that. I guess just keep, you know, creating space for us.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, like, it might not seem like a big deal to, you know, you guys, to Jasmine, who gave us a tour backstage that night that we saw Hamilton, and for Lin-Manuel to just take a picture, but, like, it means so much to young creatives to have that proximity to people who are doing it and look like them, and just seeing you guys in the flesh. It's just like, okay, like, this is possible. This is the real world. This is this person also in the real world. This is a possibility for me. And it just makes it that much concrete to just be able to interact, So I would say like that's the other thing too, is like just always having that kind of open relationship, and like where people feel like they can know you or get to know you or get to know your story, so that they can find where they relate to.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure had
That's
we
so
not
good.
had, I remember we had spoken with Jasmine and Chris prior to seeing Hamilton. They came in and spoke to us at a master class, I think. And just having those little interactions, those little events where we get to sit and talk to you guys as people, and not just as like, I guess, I mean, you kind of are figureheads to some of us in some ways, but just relate on a human level and be like, you listen, this is how I got to where I am, and like I want to see you guys get there, and let's just figure out how we're gonna do it together. Yeah, that was like the fact that I'm talking to you now, and I was literally, before you came on, I was telling everybody how like it was cool to see you clearly from Brooklyn. You sound like you're from Brooklyn. Seeing you on Hamilton stage, I was like, oh, like I know that person. You know what I mean? And then being able to talk to you now, like that sticks. That sticks, and that's something that I'll always remember.
Well, that means a lot. You know, I think these are things I appreciate y'all. You know, and I think these are all great things to think about, especially for me. You know, hold the door open. You know, and I'll remember that. I'm not y'all put the battery in my back, and I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate you teaching me, and reminding me, and holding, and I want to also challenge y'all to hold me accountable and hold my peers accountable for that, because y'all are coming up, and y'all are making your own art. I do want to encourage you too, as well, to create these stories, to write these stories. If you feel like you're not a writer, that's okay. Write something down. As somebody who is a writer or whatever, they'll find if the story is there, there's a way. You feel me? And I think I think the where we start is writing it down. Lynn is my boy, but I don't think somebody was writing him a lead role on Broadway before he did In the Heights. If I'm gonna keep it real, if I'm gonna really keep it a buck, like he wrote himself in the history. You feel me? Like, and then, you get the Hamiltons and, whatever, but like, and that created an opportunity for me. Like that, I got to then play a character like Usnavi in the movie that I never thought I'd be able to play ever, because there's leading roles like Shrek, or like, what's his name from Catch Me If You Can, the dude that plays it, like all these plays that I'm like, they ain't gonna put me in that shit. But like, I want to encourage y'all to write these stories. If there's something, right, you want to write about, the culture in Guyana, you want to write about the culture in Trinidad and Tobago, you want to write about the culture, right, in wherever, Dominican Republic and Haiti, like, you write that. Let's talk about that. Talk about what that is. Even if you write one scene, right? Even if you write one scene that is just about a time you had there, you could set off a whole story. Sorry, I was just gonna call. You could set off a whole story like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I want to encourage y'all, because as I think more opportunities are opening up. I think movies like Crazy Rich Asians and Black Panther and hopefully In the Heights, right, are opening up. And now Hamilton being a film, right, are now opening up doors in Hollywood. And there have been petitions. I don't know if y'all seen, but there's a large group of us actors of color who have been basically telling Broadway, we ain't doing shit until y'all. I'm not doing another musical, another play until y'all diversify this shit. And I mean it. I don't give a fuck. I don't need to be on Broadway. I'm straight. Y'all need to diversify this shit, because at the end of the day, we helping you. And there was all types of names. The Cynthia Rivos, the Leslie Odom Jr.'s on that list. There's a lot of people on that list. And I think as time progresses and y'all are coming up, we're gonna need y'all to, we're gonna do our part, right? to write these stories and continue to try do our best to craft projects that include everybody. But we also gonna need y'all to write these joints. You know,
Yeah.
we need Black agents. We need, you know, people of color agents. You know, because it's not just the actors, right? And like, you all may not go on to act, right? You may find a love somewhere else, or you may decide that acting is not it, and you go into being a producer. But we need Black and brown producers. We need agents. We need people who are packaging the movies. I'm gonna give y'all a little, you know, tea. Some of these agencies package movies, so they have, right? So these motherfuckers don't want me to tell you this shit, but I'm gonna give you the motherfucking tea because I wish somebody told me this shit.
Give it.
These people are in power, right? These big agencies, right? And my agency included. They package movies. They're like, okay, well, we have this producer who we rep. We rep this production company. Let's put them together. We rep that writer. And then they like, okay, and we rep, okay, that script is great. So now we got that package down. Now we'll send it out. And then maybe we'll get somebody from WME, we'll get somebody from ICM. These are different agencies. And I would encourage y'all to look up the agencies, look up the different agencies, look who they rep, right? Study that shit. Get hip to the business too, because that's how you're gonna be, I think, because that's how you'll also become a better creative. When you understand the business and you understand the shit, the way the shit works. You know what I'm saying? Right now, I'm packaging a movie right now. The meetings that they're giving me right now is with writers in my agency. They ain't setting me up with writers from other agencies. If we can't find a writer within the agency, then they'll set me up with somebody else. But you see how the shit works. Everybody keeps it within their, right? Because then obviously they eat. The more clients they have in the shit, the more the agency eats. They get 10% from everybody's cut, right? So we get hip to that. But what I want to encourage you to do is, like, for anybody, get to know, find out who are the Black agents in the game. Find out who the agents of color, period. Indian, Chinese, find out. Kevin Lin is one of the agencies, Chinese dude who works at my agency, CAA. He reps me, theater agent. Like, right, how Susie said, or become an agent, right? I think everybody here wants to be creatives, though, or everybody wants to be a performer, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But for anybody who finds himself finding another career, there are other ways to get in the game. You become a writer, you become a producer, you become an agent, you become a manager, right? They're entertainment lawyers, they're publicists. They're all different types of people who do all different types of things. First AD, you know, the second AD, the director of photography. There's all types of shit. I go to these sets, and I'm on the crew. I'm seeing the only person who does it, who has a colorful crew, is Spike Lee. Only one I've worked with. That when I go to the crew, almost everybody's Black or Hispanic. That's it. Spike, the only crew I've ever been to. And then In the Heights had a pretty diverse crew, but not like Spike's. Spike makes it a point. Spike told me a story one time. This is also how you change the game. He said, I think it's the Brothers of Islam. There's a group, right? All Black men were in specifically he hired from this group, right? I think it was the Brothers of Islam. And he hired them as his teamsters on one of his movies. He didn't hire the teamsters from the regular union, because most of them are white. And most of them are boys. Grew up in fucking Bay Ridge or wherever they grew up. And they got their sons and their sons' sons and their nephews, and all of them, they all fucking help each other get in, right? And that's how you do it, right? But we have to do that for each other. We have to do that and create those opportunities for each other, right? So Spike was like, nah, my teamsters are gonna be all Black, and I'm gonna get the brothers from Islam, and they're gonna be my team. They're gonna drive everybody around. The union was tight, and the union was like, no, you can't do that. And then Spike was like, all right, so you tell them that, because I'm not firing them.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it takes, you know, we have more power than we think, right? I think, you know, we've been tricked into believing that we don't. And in many ways, right, we're held back in a lot of ways because unfortunately, a lot of the executives are white and they don't, like, if it don't look like it's gonna make money to them, they're like, but that's changing. That rhetoric is changing, you know? That it really is changing. And it's changing in the music industry too. I mean, the music industry, I think, has been a little ahead of film in that essence, but like it's changing all over the place. You know, the diversity. What's that?
No, I wanted to add on.
Yeah.
I was going to
please.
say, I think what we need is support. I think, especially for friend groups, because I know for me, or you're like saying, it's how like Spike wanted to hire all black crew. I remember when I was making my first short film, I made sure like my people were all people of color. Chrissy worked with me as my cinematographer, and my sound guy was Latin American. But I think it's about having friends who are as like, we need friends that are as invested as we are. Because I feel like sometimes you have friends that want to do it, but then when you give it to them, like they kind of half-ass it, you know? And
yeah,
which is why it's been so hard for me to do some of the projects that I want to do. Because, you know, 1 minute, I want to do it. And then when you give it to them, like, I think we just need people to be we need to keep each other motivated and passionate. And once we actually do get stuff out, we need that support, because people keep saying, oh, we want to see this, we want to see that. But like, once it's out, there's no support to keep it alive, to keep it going. So I think it's all those aspects that is important, that we really need support. That those black people that are already in high places. First, before I even get to that, I don't even think we should be paying to submit our films in short films. Because I find that, like, one, you don't have a guarantee that your film is even going to win. And I'm paying you to watch my film that I probably didn't pay my cast for, you know? So why am I paying you when there's no end game for me? Even if are you going to pay me back? I can't get a refund. So why am I paying you? So I think it's support. Because a lot of people say we want to see these type of things, but once they're out, like, nobody's speaking about it, you know?
Yeah. And I don't think, you know, and I wanna make it clear. I'm not saying don't collaborate with people who are not of color. Like, there are plenty of, you know, even Spike, his co-writers on Black Klansman, they was white. Like, I think we have to it's bridging the gap, right? And not everybody was black on the crew. There were white people on the crew, of course, but I'm saying that we have an opportunity to create a colorful crew, right? That includes people of color. It's not just an all white crew that has white and black and brown and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but as a leader, I think we do also have a job to say, well, you know, you can't bring all the homies with you. If there's one thing I learned, you cannot bring and don't try, because that's just a setup. And I'm gonna tell you right now from experience, some of them, it's okay, it's all right. Some of them will disappoint you, and that's fine, right? You know where your heart is, and it's okay to be like, nah, I know this person never follows through, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and not give them this job. And that doesn't make you a bad person. And if it really is important to you to find a person of color for that specific role, then you might have to work a little harder, right, to find a person. And you may not know them, you may not have a relationship with them, but then you do that. But I think the best person should win out for the job, right? But at the same time, right, like, and also, but like, you cannot bring all your homies. But if you do see potential in somebody, and you like, nah, this person's got something, you know, you start them maybe as a PA. You start them off as, in a position where they don't have a bunch of or PAs have a lot of responsibility, but yo, it's really just go get me the fucking coffee and make sure this shit's hot when it still gets here. You know, like, to be honest, if I'm gonna be real. And if you can show me you do that, then maybe we move you up. And then you move up, and then you move up. People have to prove themselves too. That's another thing. Ain't no handouts out here. Cause you working hard for your shit. So it ain't just handouts. I'm trying to have a diverse cast. Nah, fuck that. You gotta earn your spot as well. This shit ain't no handout over here. Cause I work hard for my shit. So I'm gonna be damned if you think you gonna come up in here and you think you got a little in because you know me. So I wanna encourage you to not bring all the homies with you. A few, yes. And then hopefully they take what they learn from you and they bring more, and then, right? And that's how you accumulate more of the homies. But you ain't bringing a whole fucking crew. You see it time and time again, especially people who grew up in the struggle, right? It's very easy to want to bring everybody with you because all y'all didn't have anything. Mm-hmm. I know for me, when I first started, I was trying to fucking bring this homie here and that homie. I'm like trying to bring everybody to the fucking opening night, whatever. This person got wasted over here. This person don't know how to act. This person almost got into a fight. I'm like, you gotta know. You know what I'm saying? I think it's at the end of the day, right? It's discernment for me. Like it's that feeling you get about someone that you don't really know. Like you're like, yo, this person has potential. They might not really know about this. They might not really know about how to do this job, but this person is very skilled. This person is very organized or whatever. Let me try and make them a production coordinator. You know what I'm saying? This person is their room. Everything is nice and neat in their room. They got spreadsheets all the time for their laundry. Maybe let me just teach them a little bit about the game, make them a production start, right? But anyway, I think I'm going on and on about it, but it's like just because I feel so blessed to have this opportunity to talk with y'all because I'm learning too so much from
we
y'all.
appreciate you taking out the time to talk to us.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's like, yeah.
We are actually at time, unfortunately. But thank you so much, Anthony, for joining us. Thank you, all my panelists for being here today. And talking is over. This has been an amazing Friday afternoon. Before I go, I just want to shout out quick that's having their first virtual show tomorrow at 7 p.m. So check out Friends of the Family. Check us out. It was amazing having you all here. Thank you all so much. Maybe we should everybody could unmute yourself or we could just do a quick I got your back. Yeah? Yeah. Unmute yourself. We'll just do a quick
Anthony asked about
I got your back.
Hi, Taylor. Wait, Molly,
Anthony
he asked about the virtual show.
The show.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. What was the question about the show?
Just how can I see the show? Where's the show?
How can you see the show? It's gonna be. Ooh, I'm trying to find it. How about I could send it? I could have my people send it to your people.
All right. Yes,
but definitely tomorrow at 7 p.m. Friends of the Family is back doing some. I'll have my people. Just a quick, I got your back, y'all, and we're out. I got your back.
Okay. I got your back.
There's only a couple people in here, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my email in this chat before we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Make sure you have it to only panelists only.
Yeah,
not to panelists and attendees.
All right, all panelists.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send y'all my joint. All right.
It's lit. It's lit.
It's lit.
And I'm gonna use it too.
Yeah, use it, please. Use it. All right. Anyway, what is it? What do we say? Sorry.
I got your back.
I got your back.
And you first bump to the camera. There we go. Got your back.
Love, man. Love.
Love y'all. Have a good weekend.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.